let's go. Episode 4. All right, we're back here at B1, so that's kind of fun. The Empire thing was fun. We'll have another one. Shout out to Nunsies. We'll be there soon. That'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
We'll get all the guests back, and we'll run it back, all the things we want to get to. So, but back at it. As always, again, we got a bunch of questions, piling in. It's really cool to see. Before we get to our guests, we'll do what we do. And this is actually a pretty relevant question, especially when you here back from Florida ski just a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
One of the questions we'll touch upon early is somebody said to me, and it's a great question, and I actually forgot about this kind of question is, Coach, if I don't want to go down and play in Florida, or I don't want to play out, why would I go to these tournaments? And it brings you back to a little bit of an old school mentality. No, it's not necessarily about the exposure of playing down there in front of Florida schools or Arizona schools. Granted, that's there for you. Yeah. But it's playing against the best, right?
Yeah,
we get stuck in this Long Island bubble. Even this Northeast bubble, it's getting a little watered down and everything. We get down to Florida, and these boys are different.
Yeah.
And I know you just got that experience with our inaugural New York National, which is really cool for your organization. Obviously, the Ghost Partnership has been phenomenal, and we have so many opportunities coming forward. This is our first one. So, some of the communication early on and how the rosters came together wasn't exactly as perfect as we had anticipated and hoped, but we'll get there. Yeah. But we did go down there, had some success, and you got to see, again, just early fall competition. Even if kids played football on a Saturday morning, they're at a Saturday night game at Jupiter. I know that complex was incredible. So
those fields look amazing.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
And that's the other
what
part of it
spring
too.
training complex was it?
It was the Marlins, the Astros, Nationals, and Cardinals.
See, that's a hell of an experience.
Yeah.
And that's playing on those fields.
The word experience, it's a play there, not Eisenhower Park, not the cushy turf.
Little better hops down there.
Oh,
yeah,
you could every
you put your glove down, the ball goes in.
Yeah, pregame, they take care of it all. They make sure it all looks good.
No IOs there.
You're not driving. You're not having your right foot in the mound and diving into another mound there. You got a good landing spot and everything, but it was awesome.
How was the competition down there?
It was great. Like you said, you go down there, those Florida kids are different, but not even just Florida, all around the area, and like you said, the fall, kids playing football, but it was just glad to be out there, and heat was one thing, but it was
Ryan
a great experience.
Told me it was 110.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Baseball weather.
Yeah,
it's probably being
for those guys down there, they're probably wearing long sleeves and wearing sweats. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and that so kind of getting to that answer is of course, the exposure is outstanding. If you have as part of your dream or part of your plan could be playing down south, but it is getting on a plane, getting off a plane, getting ready to play a game, competing. Because even if you go to school in the Northeast, because that's where you want to go, you're going to go down to Florida, whether it's spring training, D1, D2s will go down there just for 3-game series.
Every February.
Yeah, right. And even for us, we went out to Florida and played, Lynn University, there. That's a regular series. But we have to be prepared to get off the plane and go
different.
play.
And you're also playing on, you probably don't know, but I remember my freshman year when we played at Stetson, Jacob DeGrom played at Stetson. I really didn't know that.
Right.
But they had a whole banner in the outfield.
Yeah, cool stuff like that.
It was
and for these kids, I don't know about you guys, but even as a coach, when we went to Florida, I think, Fort Myers and all that, or every time you play in a spring training complex, I don't know, even as a coach, I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah, it gets the juices flowing.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. So I hope and I assume that the players that love the game and love to compete.
Yeah, it's like a little fresh fresh breath of air. And
it gives you motivation.
Yeah.
I know it does 100% for me when I played. So, to answer that question, which was a great question that came into us, was if I don't really want to go to, take all the other stuff, the experience, all the fun. Again, it's always a camaraderie with your boys down there playing. And those are memories, right? I always do say winning is great.
Yep.
But I know that 8 of my 10 memories from growing up playing ball, it was on the beach, hanging out and finding
the hotels
and stuff like that.
What you're developing as a family and all your friends just hanging out. But you're playing baseball at the end of it. But the whole experience is something to cherish and hold on to.
Yeah,
I won tons of championships, but you don't remember those.
You really don't. I think the coaching part of it now. I remember the championships a little bit more, or I remember the heartbreaking loss a little bit more. Playing,
so many great experiences. In the pool, playing football with your buddies.
And then college is just that 10 times.
Yeah,
right.
Probably getting in trouble and then hearing
so many college stories. I
hearing
have a
about
great college story in Coastal. I don't think I can say on here, but
we will. That's where
will you?
All I know is we got a text the next day. Meet on top of the parking garage.
Oh yeah,
bring your turfs.
Parking garage text you. You're
going for
running.
Oh man.
And that's what the Nunsies round table will be. We're gonna call that episode in 2 weeks or so.
B1 Ghost Stories After Dark.
No, it was I
We
think
had to put a parental
yeah.
Explicit.
Yeah. So, but it's gonna be like the clubhouse. We'll get on each other a little bit. I'm sure there's things we would love to have some fun.
You gotta wear those next time.
Right.
So.
Those shorts gotta be there. Yep.
Yeah.
So all right, that's awesome. Good question to start with. So now we got Ryan Neuweiler. For most of the organization, he's still relevant, which is pretty cool.
He's letting everyone know his last name on his arm.
Yeah. Well, no, the SAT. So, dude, you know how great it was for me to be able to spell his name on like the lineup cards and stuff. You know, it's great. It's good to have. Ryan, welcome. We're excited to have you, man. So again, for most of the organization, you're known as Red Hat throughout Long Island and all that. He says he's from Queens, but he's not. We'll get to that.
Trying to get that city cred.
Yeah, it's not really there. No. I mean,
it's the grit.
Yeah. Right.
Those city guys don't listen to country music like this.
Yeah, not like this guy. No, exactly right.
I'm just a wannabe.
Yeah, that's it. So, all right, Ryan, so pretty cool because you are our first guest that played for a B1 team, I believe, other than the Seminoles or now Ghost.
Yeah.
You were B1000 Heat.
Yeah.
So kind of bring us to that to get us rolling a little bit because I know some of the story. They definitely don't.
That TJ Rulo?
Yeah.
Jim Rulo.
Jim
Rulo, Ryan Connolly, John Strava, all those guys.
Strava Power. And Rulo was the first. He was ahead of his time with this stuff, by the way. Like
he had the first B1 social media manager, I think.
Before we even had, didn't even know social media was.
The best video says, "Why not B1 on YouTube?"
Well, yeah,
I was gonna bring up YouTube. I feel like that original. If you type in batting 1,000. Yeah,
Heat shows Jim Rulo's voice.
It shows up Heat. There's no Seminoles, no Ghosts.
No, it was Heat. And that team,
Blue jersey, right?
Yeah, dope jersey.
Yeah,
blue, yellow.
CJ was the coach of that.
We had CJ and Pete for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, all-time coaches, all-time dudes, obviously. 100%. But also, you guys can ball. You were good.
Yeah, we were solid.
Yeah, you were good.
We were well known.
100%. I mean, again, I don't even remember exactly how rankings went back then and all that kind of stuff, but you guys could ball and you were winning.
Yeah.
I remember I had a team, I think, a year older than you guys because you eventually wound up playing up with me a bunch.
Because 2 years, to be honest.
Maybe 2. Yeah, it's possible.
When I went down to Virginia with you guys, I think you guys were 2 years older.
Yeah, it's possible. I get it. That was your flex. You're such a stud. You played 2 years up. I get it. But yeah, good for you.
You were playing above grad year. Wow.
Yeah,
you're a big deal, man.
So how did you even end up with B1 Heat? Because those are Belmore dudes.
Yeah. Honestly, my brother and I bounced around so much, but like not in a bad way. We were always looking to play, and my dad always put it out like, "Hey, if you need guys for a weekend, my boys are available."
Right.
And I mean, we never. Once in a while, we complain. We're like, "You want to go hang out with our friends?" But in the end, it was all worth it. So we actually started with the Belmore Bulls, which was AWOL now.
Right. It was
And then the Belmore Heat were around. They were kind of like rivals and stuff like that. I don't remember exactly how we got into it. We just kind of. I wish I did.
We'll have to get to that. I could text Mikey Zaywell and JC.
Yeah, no,
because I guess they collaborated and finally like merged or.
Yeah, I think it was like somewhat of a merger at some point. Because the Zaywells played with us for a bit, and then I don't know if the Bulls broke up totally, and that's why we went to the Heat. But
and we were just training all those guys. So kind of similar actually to Nap and that's exactly how our family built. We
started with lessons.
With just team training lessons and all that, and obviously there weren't as many facilities, so for Belmore guys to shoot down here was easy. Yeah. And they were good kids, and man, Johnny Shawa, talk about a kid that lived here. That kid hit every day here.
Lives and breathes baseball.
Yeah. 100%. He could ball. He was a bigger kid.
He was a big kid.
But he was also like coordinated at that age, which is a little bit unique for a kid.
That's hard to find.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
I mean, again, he did work his ass off. So that was cool.
Every day.
So then, I guess that Belmore Heat team just became B1 Heat, and then that's when you were officially B1 at that time. Like you weren't. That's when you're jumping around kind of.
Yeah, no, that was it. How
old were you then?
I think we were maybe 8th grade, freshman in high school type of thing.
So it was that team that when you're talking about 8th grade and freshman year, did you stick together the rest of the high school?
Yeah, right.
Just about. I think we finished up either my sophomore or junior year.
I think you were playing for me a bunch.
Yeah, and then I think that's where we came into the Seminoles.
Right.
The Heat team kind of broke up in a way.
I think just a couple of kids finally said, "Hey, I don't want to go through this college process. I'm not going to play college ball," even though they were good.
Right. No.
Oh yeah.
Totally
and then that's also why having the B1 umbrella was so nice because we weren't going to lose Ryan, Charlie, Stroud. We were going to lose them to other organizations. They were just staying with B1 and like you said, come down to Virginia with me and play up a little bit and have some good experiences there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we were talking before, and I'm going to actually pull that up, about your perfect game profile, right? So you only did, as it says right here, right? It says, so you only actually participated in 3 PG events.
Yeah.
And it says last team played for was B1000 Heat, which actually, I guess a Virginia tournament you were with me wasn't even a PG event.
No, I guess it was just like a.
I mean, I know there was a bunch of schools there. That was actually a really good event. That was
a really good tournament.
Really good.
We had a good time.
16th ranked shortstop.
But
Wow.
so that's what we want to get to, right? So we'll flex for you here. So
It was only 17 guys. So.
yeah. So now we get into your college process, right? So 16th ranked shortstop on PG, 400th in the country, all the accolades of the shortstop, and I do brag about you as a shortstop, which is funny because now as we get to your Division I pitcher.
Yeah.
So as you went through the college process, and I know we spoke about it a little bit off air, but like you just kind of said, hey, I know I'm really good. They're gonna find me. I fielded some phone calls. I fielded some phone calls as you went through the process, which is pretty cool because it was one of the first times I came Division I schools calling me, hey, what's the deal with this guy? We'll get to your brother at some point.
Nah, that's fine.
Yeah, we skip over him, right?
Yeah.
So
It's about me today.
yeah, feel that. So
Is he also red hat or no?
No.
no, he might.
He's just-
Blue hat?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
They haven't figured that
Yeah,
one out.
we're not worried about you.
Yeah, no.
So now how did you choose LIU? How come that was the school that you did end up going to?
Honestly, my brother and I, we committed to college together. It wasn't like a deal breaker. We didn't have to. It was wherever we fit best. If we had to go our separate ways, then so be it.
Yeah.
We weren't naive in that aspect.
I'm gonna interrupt, and I hate to gas him up. Did you know at the time that he was going to get drafted out of high school, and then it even added to that high enough where he's going to sign, not go to school?
When we verbaled, not really.
Okay.
But as we were approaching senior year and he started really taking off and developing as a pitcher, I was like,
It's probably going to happen.
yeah, I don't know. Like he was like towards like when we started playing our senior season and he was getting more notice and it was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to happen, to be honest. So, but
So when did you start developing more into a pitcher?
Yeah. I'll say that.
So that didn't really happen. So I've been a two-way my entire life. Shortstop really took over when I was in high school, especially freshman, sophomore year. I had the privilege of being a 3-year starter on varsity as a shortstop.
Where'd you go?
McClancy. It's in East Elmhurst.
Yeah. He did a train from Long Island all the way out to Jamaica. Yeah.
Well,
I've got a couple of those
They're
guys.
too soft.
We still got a couple.
I'm gonna get a lot of hate in the comments for saying that.
I
but-
know. I love that. I love that.
Listen, the city's gritty, man. We're playing on concrete every day.
And again, for the record, by the way, so I don't even know how much you pitched for me. When you came play for me, you played short. Because that's where I had you. I think I hit you second, you played short.
Yeah. So my senior year of high school, I pitched twice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 2 times. And
Crazy.
even after both times, I went back to shortstop the same game.
We hear the story a lot
Yeah.
with the shortstops turning to pitchers.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for real.
But I mean, I had enough feel to do it, and I did it for most of my career. So then I got recruited as a 2-way to go to LIU. I went to LIU Brooklyn, actually, so let's clarify.
Yeah.
We'll start there. LIU Brooklyn Division I program. Went there as a 2-way. Freshman year, the only injury I had in high school was like rotator cuff tendonitis on my shoulder. That was it. That was the most extent I've ever had. Just a bit of burning and work through it, whatever it was.
So you did throw while that was happening.
Yeah, you have. That's something you have to work through. Like,
Yep.
it's not going to be
Nowadays,
the most
kids have
comfortable
tendonitis. They're out 2
thing.
weeks.
Yeah, it's not the most comfortable thing, but you have to do it. It's not just going to go away in a day because you don't throw. So I fixed that freshman year. My forearm started barking up, and I was like, God damn, like I don't know, maybe it's just sore from overworking now because college is a step up. From high
And you were
school, so it's more
you were
demanding.
doing bullpens.
I was doing
and
bullpens.
getting your ground
I
ball
was
work.
having 4 or 5 hour practice days because I was a 2-way, so I'd be out there with the defensive players, offensive players, and then out there with the pitchers for an hour and a half,
It's a lot
right?
of
Getting
work.
my throwing in, my PFPs.
Wait, you mean
my
being a
bullpens.
2-way isn't just easy and fun?
Yeah, no.
I mean, that's what everyone tells me.
Listen,
Right? I want to
yeah.
do 2-way.
Fun
okay.
on certain days when you're doing games and stuff, but no, I mean it was a grind for sure.
Yeah.
It was a
I can
grind.
imagine.
So
The whole
Freshman
different
year went-
weightlifting
And
Yeah,
that was
no,
that.
it
That
was
was what year?
that was 2017,
And that was
into
your
18.
freshman
That was my
year?
freshman year of college.
So you were running everything.
Yeah. So season comes around, forearms barking, not feeling my best. So I wound up redshirting. Got a PRP injection in my elbow. So for reference, it was a needle that big,
Yeah.
right into my forearm. Not a pleasant experience, but it was something that I was trying to do to avoid in the future having Tommy John, which they said was almost inevitable. But hey, we'll give it a shot anyway.
It's a Band-Aid for now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to get on the field. Like, just give that to me. I don't want the whole years recovery type of thing. And
well, we're young and stupid and we're meatheads. We want a ball. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, but whatever. Everything happens for a reason, right? So sophomore year rolls around, rehabbing into the summer, fall come back in, feeling okay, forearms still like not the best. Go into preseason, throw a little bit in our trips down south. I had like 3 appearances during the season. My last appearance I threw against Iona, 6 scoreless. Probably one of the best games I threw
and
all college.
Felt well.
No, didn't feel well. no, that's the catch. Didn't feel well at all. My last pitch, I threw it, struck the kid out. I wasn't even pumped up. I couldn't feel not that I couldn't feel my arm, but I went in, grabbed a cup of water, and I was shaking uncontrollable. And I told my trainer, I was like, dude, something's not right. Like I know my body, something's not right.
Tingling?
Not even.
No.
Just like extreme pain in my forearm. So what happened with me was I got x-rays and they were like, did you ever break your elbow? I was like, no, what kind of question is that? Like, I would know if I broke my elbow. I had chipped a bone in my elbow. When that bone chip came off, my ligament was attached to that.
Oh, wow.
So my ligament was partially attached to my elbow for a year, 2 years. Wow. Didn't know. So all the pain I had was in here.
And that's unique because normally the X-ray doesn't really actually show anything other than maybe a bone spur because you're looking for an MRI for
right. You're looking for tearing or
that's
something
crazy.
like that. So,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was. So I was like, oh, interesting. They were like, yeah, like so you never broke your elbow? I'm like, no, I've never broke my elbow. So I had the Tommy John April 15th of 2019 drilled into my mind. I was actually supposed to make my start a year to date later. That's when COVID hit.
Oh, wow.
So I had a year recovery of doing nothing. COVID hit. Couldn't even play that season. Went down for like 2 weeks to Myrtle Beach for summer ball. Threw okay down there. Shoulder started barking at that point.
Yep.
So I'm like, all right, here comes the black cloud again. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. Just bad luck.
You're getting a lot of curveballs thrown at you. But
yeah. So I
think your shoulder was because of the elbow? You think you were overcompensating a little bit?
Honestly, I did so much shoulder strengthening stuff for my elbow to take the pressure off. Mm-hmm. I think it was it really was just bad luck.
Yeah.
So then my junior year, right, didn't really happen. So my senior year, come in, shoulders barking, didn't feel that great all year round. Wound up having tears in my labrum and my rotator cuff. I'm like, all right, here we go, But took it with a grain of salt. That summer going to my 5th year. So I had the privilege of going back and they were going to have me back. And I did my master's degree in a year. So I got
that's degree. The plus of getting hurt because the scholarship rolls over.
100%. So instead of just doing a 5th year for academics, which some of my buddies did, and you do like another undergraduate program type of thing, or you take a couple classes just to play, I was like, no, I'll take full advantage of it. Yep. Got my master's degree, and then I worked my ass off all year. That was the best I felt in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, go into the rehab process a little bit just for the audience. Like, how much did you put in after the surgery?
After my elbow surgery, I was at PT 3-4 times a week. Like whatever they needed me to do or told me to do, I did it. But I also listened to my body.
Yep.
I would go in there sometimes and they're like, all right, let's do this. And I do it. And I'm like, I'm not being soft. I know my body. Sure. Mm-hmm. And I know there's days to push it and there's days not to.
And that's a good point because the Division I trainers, they do everything cookie cutter.
Yeah.
And they treat every kid the same. So that was good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not always the case where kids know their bodies and they don't know the difference between pain or discomfort or soreness. Right. We deal with it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, nowadays, Tommy John's the norm.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about like 5-6 years ago. It's like it's a different animal.
Yeah. But it really took me a full 2 years to feel like good again with like my elbow and my shoulder.
Which is also so, and I want to circle back in a second, but it's so crazy to hear that because like we are watching like Shohei Ohtani, like I want to see him close in the World Series this year, and like he's doing what you were trying to do at the big league level, and you gotta let that heal. So I do want to circle back because we didn't get to an answer that I don't even know the answer to, a question on this. Mm-hmm. When did you and how did you transition from the two-way guy freshman year into just a pitcher?
So after grinding all freshman year, I just kind of came to the realization that, especially with the injury, if I was going to have a career in college, that it would be on the mound. Okay. I knew my arm strength was there. Mm-hmm. My foot speed wasn't, I'm not a blazing fast guy. I'll toot my own horn. I knew I had good hands. My bat needed some work on the college level. Yeah. Not that I wasn't scared to put in the work, but I knew what I had in front of me was the path to go down.
Gotcha. So
Yeah,
it's
because
really
the
cool.
hitting at the college level takes a
Yeah.
whole nother jump, man.
It is.
That's
it
what
is-
kids don't understand.
Yeah, they don't. They
Pitching
don't.
and hitting.
Yeah,
Especially you get
but
a
the
freshman,
hitting
you get a
is-
freshman pitching against a 22-year-old super senior,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
exactly.
vice versa.
You're playing against grown men. You know,
Yeah.
I don't talk about myself a lot. I know I was a good hitter in high school.
Yeah.
My barrel control was unmatched.
Facts.
I almost hit better with 2 strike counts than I
You
did.
did.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
That's why. That's
I
why I
did.
love
Sure
it.
enough,
I saw you.
I
saw
could put the
me-
ball wherever I
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
on the
yeah.
field. No,
Yep.
wherever you wanted me to put it, no problem.
Yeah.
Tell me, all right.
And then 2 years
between first
later,
and
you're
base.
like, wow, I don't know if I can hit at this level.
Yeah, man. Again,
Yeah.
like you're an 18-year-old kid. You're mature enough to live on your own, but you know, physically you're still growing a lot. And again, like you said, you're playing against 22-year-olds who are like a super senior type of thing.
Yeah.
And
93, low K3 pitches.
yeah,
different
man.
ball
And
game.
balls moving both sides of the plate. You
Yeah.
know, like
Oh, and by the way, those gaps got a lot smaller, right? The center fielder, left fielder,
Yeah.
right fielder.
yeah, no.
That's when no one
they'll
ever
cover the
talks
ground.
about
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll cover
getting
the
a
ground.
hit at the college level. You got to
Yeah.
earn the hit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's a different ballgame. That's why I actually, the whole time I've known you, I actually never asked you like how and when. Like some guys
Yeah.
have it. We talked about even on
Yeah.
a lower level with Knapp, like going from shortstop to outfield or whatever. Like with you, it's like, or even Jake Frere, a shortstop. He made the decision decommitting from a Division III shortstop to a Division I pitcher. You went in like, did you go in there saying like I can do this, and then like just kind of you said reality set in, the injury set in. You said actually, if I'm going to be successful at this level, it's going to be on the bump.
Yeah.
So like you actually made your own decision there. A lot of coaches will bring you on. Some
Right.
coaches, I talk to a bunch of coaches all the time, and they'll be like, "Yeah, listen, I'll bring him on, but by the end of the fall, he'll be a PO."
Yeah.
And I
Right.
get it, and I
Right.
see the same thing. I hate that it's kind of premeditated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see like you were almost on your own terms actually said, "Hey,
Yeah.
like let me just put 100 into pitching,
Mhm.
opposed to 100 to pitching, 100 into defense, offense." There's just so many levels to the game.
Yeah.
Man.
And I know my coaches were happy when I made that decision.
Sure,
Like, you know,
sure.
but
Yeah.
they were cool enough, and they're still great guys, and they were awesome enough to let me make that decision,
Right.
and not be like, yeah, well, yeah, like, you know, we're just gonna tell you that.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's nice.
So all right, so you had fairly conventional recruiting process, right? Did some events, played for a good organization, got some calls, went to LIU. Awesome. Had the awesome opportunity to go two-way. The unfortunate injury, but you transitioned to being a stud on the mound. Were you also there when they merged with CW Post?
Yeah.
So you went through a whole nother level of all
Yeah.
of this going on. So
Yeah.
bring us to that real quick.
So just to circle back, I think you asked me before, like, why did I choose LIU?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Honestly, we committed so early, and they were one of the schools that expressed so much interest in us,
Love it.
academically and for baseball. And we were just like, took a visit, small school, right? Especially in the heart of Brooklyn, awesome setting where the field was. It's not.
Oh,
the-
I
the-
played on the
the-
field.
the-
Yeah,
the
yeah.
birdcage,
Yeah.
man. It was awesome, and it was
Wasn't there like
high
the
fence.
school in right field, like a glass?
yeah. So we had our athletic center in right field with like an overhang, so you can like stand on top of the
Yes.
field pretty
So
much
dope.
in the heart of Brooklyn. Skyscrapers all around you.
You get the green. You get the. Oh, it's a fence. It's the green
Yeah,
monster
the green
in left
monster,
field,
you
whatever.
know.
But it's like protected
We
on,
had some
like, Fifth
interesting
Avenue.
characters watching our games too, and we had a name for one guy, but I can't say it on
Local
camera.
Brooklyn guys chirping you on the
Yeah,
mound.
that'll be for the round table, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they just expressed so much interest in us, and we were just like, well, what are we waiting for? You know,
I
like,
love
yeah.
that.
all right, so a better school rolls around. Well,
Yep.
what does that
It's right in front of
guarantee?
your face.
Who says
Yeah, I
it's
think
better
we
anyway?
talked about that.
Who
in
says it's
episode
better?
one.
Right.
Who says it's
exactly.
better?
Yeah.
Who says it's better? And again, there's so many levels to it. Maybe you were their second choice and the first choice already left.
Right.
Like you don't want to be the second choice if somebody wants you to be their first choice.
Yeah.
So I love that about you because I know you're a loyal dude anyway.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool because like I said, I don't think I've ever actually asked you that. You
Yeah.
know, as why did you choose LIU and then stay even though your brother's not going there? Not
Yeah.
that I knew you guys were perfectly fine.
No,
being
yeah,
separate
yeah.
like that.
But I honestly, like, a bunch of the kids ask me that all the time. Like, why'd you go there? Like, why didn't
Yeah.
did you get an offer from like LSU or Clemson? And I'm like, what do you think this is?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
first of all, where I went, we have a good program. We're a very good mid-major. We have 2 championships. When I was there, 2 regional appearances. They just went to another one this past year.
Didn't they just beat Miami? Who did they just beat?
They
this
beat
year?
Miami.
Yeah, last year,
Almost
yeah.
beat UNC at their regional
Right,
on a
right.
Friday night game to
Wow.
open up. UNC walked it off, unfortunately. But listen,
You're
you're on the
That's
map,
legit,
man. You're
man.
on the map. And, like,
Yeah.
what these kids have to start realizing is that it's not about this big name. It's where you fit the best.
Yeah.
And like, again,
Good
who's
point.
going to express interest in you and who wants you. And I tell kids when I coach high school or even travel ball, like, go where you wanted the most.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
want to make a move after that, which is becoming very popular now, go ahead. Go
Mhm.
ahead. But you have to give that a shot
Yeah.
because that might actually be the best fit for you and not what you think you're chasing.
Yeah, because you felt that genuine interest from that coach.
Mhm.
And honestly, that also might have been why you were able to go in there as a two-way, play it out your own way, and then go through the injury process without ever having to feel like, am I going to lose my spot?
Right.
And that is something that people really mistake.
Yeah.
What the reason you want to go where you're loved is, you maybe get a little bit of a longer leash where if you struggle a little bit early on, they're not going to just throw you on the bench and forget about you. But it's all the life, the struggle of you going through that injury, and we'll have guys on down the road that I had seen lose their spot because they were just like, they were a number. Hey, you're really good. I'm going to bring you onto campus. All right, we'll give you a roster spot. Oh, wow, you're getting Tommy John? All right, well, hey, by the way, we filled your spot. So, when you're healthy, we'll talk about transferring. No, it's cool. You went somewhere where
It's 1 year deals every year.
Yeah. You want to avoid that if you can. You really do. All right,
so going to that merger, and just another tip on top of that, the coaches who originally recruited my brother and I actually left before I even got there. So then we had a whole new coaching staff that were, again, I'm grateful that they honored our scholarships and wanted us there and trusted that the other staff made right decision.
Some schools bring in, that
yeah, you're done, man. Those recruits are done. Yeah, you're like, hey, sorry, we got no room. We got our own guys. So that worked out, but we merged with LIU Post, which is out in Brookville, Long Island. Well, out here, actually. I'm saying out there. I'm used to be in Queens, man. That's an hour away.
As for people to know, CW Post was a very good Division II school. Very good. I mean, their roster was probably 6 or 8 guys that could have played that, low level, mid D1 level. Because again, back then it wasn't as many transfers. So
right.
So yeah, you went through that.
Yeah. So my junior year, going into my junior year is when we merged. And they called it one LIU. So both campuses were under the LIU name. Some sports moved out there, including baseball, because they were getting rid of our athletic field. But listen, it worked out. I had the best of both worlds. I got to play baseball in the city and live in downtown Brooklyn, 15-minute train ride from Manhattan. Wow. I'm a city guy, that's home for me. And then to go out to LIU Post and have an actual college campus. Right. With off-campus houses,
you're in the Great Gatsby's town there.
Yeah, exactly, man. There's no shortage of money over there. It's all money. So you're driving around, you're like, oh my, look at the houses. It's a beautiful area. Yeah. And beautiful campus too. So that's what it was weird.
How was the moving aspect of
the moving aspect wasn't bad. The problem I had was with academics. So I was studying to get into the sports science field. My freshman and sophomore year. AT, PT, something in that effect, especially with my injuries. I wanted to go out and help people and help them with what I was going through and how
you do a really good job here with our guys.
So I appreciate that.
Pitching instructors, and I see that you put that work in with these kids.
Yeah, man, it's a whole mental thing, and I know what it felt like. But when I went out to Post, they didn't have the sports science program out there.
Wow, so you don't even take into account the academic part of it.
So it was all one LIU, and again, it's nothing personal about any staff that are there. They had nothing to do with it. It was all the higher ups.
That's tough.
I had to go into the academic office and say, okay, well, what do you want to do? And they were like, well, you can travel back and forth to Brooklyn if you want to stay with your program, while also trying to make practice on time.
That's not
1 o'clock from 1 to 4. And then go back for class at 5:30, and then come back and sleep and do it all again the next day. Or you can have some credits transfer over and you go into a sports management field or something like that. So I made the best of it. That's what I did. I was like, I'm here to play. Yeah, I'm here to play baseball. Baseball's not everything. School comes first. You are a student athlete, but I'm also not here to play school. Right. You know what I mean? That. This is my passion.
Yeah.
And so.
I mean, most of the time, academics, so we talk about it here, academics is a big part of, your college commitment.
It's huge.
But at the same time, you know what, though?
It should be the main focal point.
You go, how many people change their majors anyway? So they just kind of force you to do it. That's a shitty situation, but it could be worse.
No, 100%.
And so now also, talk about the roster changes, right? You had, I'm sure your school probably didn't lose as many guys, but I know CW Post players, a lot of kids all of a sudden lost their scholarships, didn't have a school to play for anymore.
What did they?
They went from D2 to D1.
Yeah.
I know
they picked the best from both.
Yeah,
so we had, I don't exactly know how the whole situation went down. But we actually had a couple guys from the Post team stay on, and they were successful with us.
I mean, we played here.
Giovanni Chaccio,
love him.
Yeah, he could ball.
Chris Watson, which I'm sure a lot of these guys.
Now, did they have to sit out a year because they went D2 to D1?
No,
because it was because of transfer.
But and all the kids, and all the kids that didn't make the team. I don't even know how to say that. They didn't have to sit out either. So like a lot of kids transferred. I think
they transferred out.
Yeah.
Like Malloy. I think some guys went to Malloy or like
Delphi
maybe, or some guys even were just like, you know what, I had my fun. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
But there were a handful of really good players. It was another big bat. I think it was a senior. I think he stayed with you guys for 1 year. I forget his name. But yeah, I know that center fielder stayed on with you guys and killed it.
Chach was a good dude.
Yeah,
man.
and he was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how many guys? You had 4. I think was it 4 players?
I thought when we were playing them, the whole thing was like, what is going on in LAU?
Yeah,
we were playing them, and we're like, where are we going? And
where are we going? True. True.
What is going on?
Yeah.
But we thought, you guys merged a little bit of the LAU post, and then took the majority of Brooklyn, but ended up playing at post for the home field.
Yeah, and we actually had. It kind of worked out because going into my junior year, we had lost a lot of guys from the year before. I think there was like non-graduating seniors or something like that. So they lost a big class, so they had their freshmen in and like transfers, and so I think it opened up some spots for the post guys too. But they 1,000% like earned their spots. Like nothing was given.
Yeah.
Right.
They were all very good ball players, and I still enjoy looking at old film and stuff like that. Watching them ball with us and stuff like that. It was crazy. It was such a weird world to be in. Like,
wild
we would have never been on the same field if that never happened. And it's like, well, why not? You guys can play with us.
Right.
Like it's not that's where like this whole Division 1, Division 2 gets lost. And it's like a lot of these guys can play at the same level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
like you said, you guys have won championships.
Yeah.
So it proves.
And they helped us.
Big time.
Right. You know, like,
I know, and they were Division 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna say who you guys won a championship against last year, but it does show that there's talent everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, they got an easy draw. So I mean, we're gonna that's a crazy story that like again we can dive more into it because I even want to I almost want to refresh it because I was a little bit out of it at that point, but. For me, because a New Haven guy, CW Post was a fun rivalry. A lot of my boys went there, and again, I knew a lot of them turned down Division I offers or could have played D1 after a year or two, but decided to stay loyal and stay and just ride out their career. Yeah. So it was cool for me to see. I was rooting for the D2 guys to go up there and do what they did and really kind of represent. But it comes down to depth, right? A lot of people do ask what's the difference between Division I, Division II. A lot of it's depth, right? Mm-hmm. The top of CW Post clearly was good enough to play with LIU Brooklyn, which is a good mid-major. Mm-hmm. It might have been, sure, that the 2/3 below that are probably D2 guys or D3 guys playing up. So it's depth, right? Yeah. So that's something that everyone's got to learn. The depth kind of changes that answer.
And there's a lot of depth on college teams.
A lot of depth.
and now carrying 35 guys.
35 guys.
34 more. COVID was like 40.
Yeah, COVID messed up a lot of things with these rosters.
Well, getting to the two-way stuff, and we'll kind of wrap up a little bit here, but it's wild now because that the 34 number, two-way players are going to have to come back into action because you can't carry as many pitches as you used to. Going from 41, 42 guys to 34. So all the guys out there, as much as we're joking about how impossible it is or borderline impossible, it might be a part of the game now because you're going to need guys to do it. Yeah. You're going to need guys at the very least to have the fallback. Like, hey, you know what? Maybe after your TJ, you didn't really want to get back on the mound, but coach, I can pick it, I can swing it, and all of a sudden you reset there. Yeah. So these kids, I encourage these kids to continue to understand their strengths and listen,
college is a journey. It's a long process of who you are and who you're going to become. Yeah. So through those 4 years, like you said,
or 6 for some of you guys.
Yeah, right.
But all kidding aside, though, like you do look at COVID was wild, and we'll continue to dive into that as we go on. And again, this is our first kind of injury conversation with throughout all this, and people forget like, oh, it won't happen to me. It very well can. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, I was beyond fortunate that I think I broke my finger and missed maybe 2 innings of my entire career. That was it. I don't know how. There was plenty of times where I went through. I played through like some pain, like you said. Growing up, we heard tendonitis. We're like, oh, nice, I'm good. Unfortunately, now tendonitis does shut you down for a few weeks. And I get it.
I missed out on a full year of playing because
you had a real injury,
right? And 2 ACL tears.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Only played 3 years.
They
want to be back for the 6th. I was like, I can't.
Right. And now
just because of the school.
Yeah. Sure. So there's so many. Your story is really cool because the beginning of it, which is kind of the part of the podcast that it's all evolving, but is how do I get to an LIU, right? And for you, it's hey, just be really good. You were really a story of just being really good and being in the right organization and having the right people see you play. But it wasn't going to 60 PG events. It's great to do it. But your profile, we made a joke. I didn't even know I had a profile. I just looked at I had a profile. Yeah. It even shows you that I was a follow.
I told you I didn't even know. Yeah. I found out like a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
And I fall
No
into the
idea.
trap. We look at it all the time, right? Who we're playing against. Oh, this kid's ranked. And we play him. Sometimes you play him like, what did he do to be
in
ranked?
Nashville?
Man?
I played the #1 first baseman in Wisconsin.
Yeah. How was it?
He wasn't great.
Right, wasn't right,
Number
right.
4.
He's not listening to this right now.
I think they only played baseball in Wisconsin.
It was
like
a great
month.
game.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
Played a
gonna
good
come
game.
after me on DMs.
That's great. That's great. No disrespect to anybody, right?
No, yeah.
No.
That's also the competitive side.
But when we
of
were
us.
looking at it, like we're playing the #1 first baseman in
Yeah, man.
Wisconsin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, I mean,
The
when
optics are
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
When we went out to Arizona a couple years back, and when we have two guests coming on soon that took the trip with us on the plane there, I'm like, UCLA commit, Cal State Florida to commit. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a vacation. And the first game, I look up in the 5th inning and it's 4-3. And I'm like, okay, these are all UCLA, Cal State Florida commits. I got like a D2 commit, a low D1 commit, but we're right here.
Mhm.
We want to almost win that game, and we did win the next game. And we all said like, yo, we're right here with these kids, and these are highly ranked. Number 7. I remember there's a number 17 pitcher in the country, and granted he threw 3 innings because he was on a limit, but he left the game as 1-1. It wasn't like we just got our doors blown off. Like we were right there. I remember Sheck went toe to toe with that kid too. So all that stuff, but it is cool and unique to see. Like, again, we didn't even know we had it, and we were ranked right there and getting all that love. So yours is a cool conventional story, be really good, and then your story really evolves. Freshman year of college. So. As always, this was fun as hell.
Yeah,
for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, Ryan.
We got so much more to go over. That round table talk.
I'm excited for the round table.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
I'm excited for the stories.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
We all got stories.
Yeah, we got to hear some identical. We got to hear some identical twin stories.
Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Who took the math test?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Don't wait, Charlie took a test. Yeah. We'll have.
I was the academic weapon.
Yeah.
Charlie's probably good at pitching, but
Yeah. Charlie he'll have to have a cameo. Maybe he'll be our bartender at our round table at
making
Nancy's.
espresso martinis in the back.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, this was fun. Episode 4 in the books, and looking forward to keeping it rolling. And shout out to our producer Wiz, man. Always
What's up, Wiz?
always here rocking,
Wait,
baby.
Wiz.